get a master's to look like, hey, I got a master's, yay. Instead of going with the first route I was supposed to be doing, like I wanted to, and I worked hard for an undergrad too. I should have went that route. But once again, I was doing all this grad school afterwards because I was trying to fill the void of me missing out.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to another video of Tea Time with Letitia. I'm Letitia, and today I am drinking golden chamomile tea. You can see that package there. It is by Puuka, and chamomile tea is good as a muscle relaxant. Today, I have with me Mr. Rudy Garza, and I'm going to let him introduce himself and his tea to us today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rudy Garza. Today, I am drinking exactly the same thing, a chamomile tea, but this is by Tadin. One good fact is that earlier, like last 2 weeks ago, before this whole virus got bigger, I was feeling a little ill, but I heard that chamomile tea is actually good for flu symptoms and cold symptoms, so I started drinking it. Felt a lot better. It's not saying that I have it. I'm just saying that it's a good tea to drink when you're feeling down.
Cool. Thanks for that tidbit. And I also want to add that chamomile tea does actually relax your muscles. Like anytime I drink chamomile tea on an empty stomach, it does the job. So that's two things that you guys can use chamomile tea for. So can you tell me a little bit about your background, Rudy?
I was in graduate school, so I graduated undergraduate at Dillard University with two dual degree, one in applied mathematics and one in actual science. And my first goal was to actually go to grad school for actual science. Technically, I had the whole big 9. Then dumb situations happened that I chose not to go to it. Then I decided a year later to go to grad school, Johns Hopkins, for secondary education and mathematics curriculum building, and into a program called Urban Teachers. So it's technically a sister program from Teach for America, but it deals with charter schools in urban areas. Yeah, I got there. I spent a semester and a half there. Spring break of my second semester, I dropped out. I did not want to go back. I drove back home, and I stayed. Since then, I've been teaching. I've been teaching since I entered college because, my professor, Dr. Hong Dai, great man, told me that the only way you can learn math is by teaching it. And I was like, that makes no sense. But in reality, being a teacher for so long, yeah, it really does. You may understand math. I understand math way more than I did in college now than I did then. But, yeah. So, yeah, that's my background.
Okay.
I attempted grad school, did not choose it because of dumb reasons. I chose a different program, just also for dumb reasons as well. I chose a program as well just to do it. Not because I wanted to, just because I guess I was obligated to do it. So I chose that program, that route, because I guess something I was comfortable in.
So you went to graduate school, secondary education.
Yes.
And you decided it wasn't for you.
Correct. It's because I guess it was something that I was never interested in. One, when I went to grad school, it wasn't what I expected, especially in the math aspect of it. It's math curriculum, but it's teaching mathematics. So when I got in there, it was the first, technically I did 2 semesters there. I did a whole year. The first semester was a quick, fast program, summer program. When we got there, the program started in Dallas, so we were there for like 6 weeks and in a hotel, and we were doing a whole semester worth in 6 weeks. So that was stressful because we were in class from 9 to like 7. Like we were there all day. We had a little bit of time. We had assignments due that night at midnight, and it was about research and papers that we couldn't do it. So a lot of this was articles I had to read, and a lot of these articles were thick. Like, there were a lot of articles that were very intensive, and my weakness in all, and still kind of, it still is, it's reading in a fast pace and comprehending. Now my reading level is better. It's at probably like a college level now instead of 8th grade level back then. So I didn't know how struggling, how horrible my reading was. No one should know. No one actually knows until you actually get put to the test. So I couldn't finish an assignment. I couldn't write any papers. I technically couldn't do anything. I was struggling so bad that I had to ask for help. And they created this lab, this writing lab and reading lab for us. So I did this test, and they marked me as an 8th grade reading and writing level. That I was like, man, that's really sucky. But once again, I'm a hard worker, so I'm like, that's done. Spent most of my time learning how to read faster and doing the stuff and writing and bettering and learning the tricks and traits of writing. So with a 3.3, so I had no C's, it was all B's and like low B's, you know. But in grad school, you can only have 1 B minus. So that kind of screwed me up. And they were like, yeah, you only got 1 more chance to, you know, you can't get lower than the, you know, B minus next semester. That was stressful as well. Because when we finally came to the real fall semester of the school, because that was a summer semester, so we had to do the fall semester. We had to do that, but now we had to do work as well. So technically, all our grad school experience was hands-on, teaching in the classroom, trying to build a curriculum, student teaching, learning from a teacher from their home teacher, so on and so forth, right? Let's go from, so we worked, you know, regular school hours, get there at 7, leave at 4, had to drive all the way to Dallas. So I worked in Fort Worth, the charter school. Then I drove all the way to Dallas to get to go to school, and class was at 5. So from 4 to 5, we were there. Then from 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, whenever the class was, we were in classes. Then from 9 to midnight, because our assignment was due at midnight, we had to do that then. So it was literally, everything was back to back to back to back with no rest at all. So then that was a stressful time, very stressful. And before that happened, you know, I was dealing with a lot of mental, with a breakup and all this extra stuff, you know, that whole experience of a relationship really told on someone. If someone really says that a relationship isn't told on someone, that's a lie, even how tough emotionally they are to really toll on them. So that was stressful. Then dealing with immigration, then dealing with everything else. So that whole time, that fall semester was very, very stressful. So I ended up with a 3.0, so I reduced my GPA down. And that's when I had 1D. And that's when they were like, you're in academic probation again. I mean, you're in academic probation. They'll give you 1 more chance. I guess the program decided to talk to the school, whatever. So I had spring semester, and spring semester was the same thing, but I guess it was a lighter load. I guess we had like 1 day off or whatever, but it was the same thing. We still had to go to school, go to work, do all this stuff, and get these papers in. Once again, I was not that skillful at writing and reading, so I was in class. They were talking about these articles, and I'm like, I know. The way I just skimmed it and got like key points, and verbally started. I was the first one speaking, and from there on, people were speaking, and I took knowledge from them. And technically, I was playing devil's advocate the whole time, and that's how I survived my first semester and a half of grad school. But it was stressful.
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So they found out, so you were tested for your reading and writing skills your first summer in that program. Yes. During that summer week session. And they figured out that, you know, you were a bit lower than maybe your cohort members. Did they do anything? Did they give you resources? Like, did they help you?
Yeah, they gave me. I went to literally technically tutor and writing lab and reading lab every day for that 6 weeks. Every day. And I spent like, so technically my whole summer was literally, or that program was me trying to learn how to read and write at a decent enough level to do this work. and I went from making straight Fs, I mean like low Fs, to like high Bs by the end of the summer. But still struggling. Still didn't learn. I still had to learn all like the typical, simple stuff you learn in high school, like the plagiarisms and how to, all that stuff, how to actually put stuff together, cite things, quote things. I didn't know any of that, and I went through a whole 20 years of school and stuff, and I still didn't know that.
Yeah.
So about the urban high school education system. But to me, that I knew my weakness going into even bachelor's, even going to undergrad. I knew my weakness was English, so I didn't want to do anything that dealt with English. So I did all my studies where first was a accounting major, then went to a visual arts major, then went to a business management major, then finally decided to be a math major. So all this was like nothing dealing with papers.
So you also said something about it was a pretty tough time for you, in that, you were going through all these different mental stresses, a breakup, the immigration, and stuff like that. Did you feel supported, or did you receive support from your program with those other aspects, so outside of the education?
Not in, and that was because that he committed suicide. And from there, the program was like, if you need any resources, here are this. First, they offered us like, oh, you get 3 days free, then you have to pay. And we're like, man, we don't, because technically we never got paid as a regular teacher. We got paid as an intern technically, or teacher aide. So technically we didn't get paid as a full-time teacher. We got paid way less. So technically offered us this help of counseling, but only for 3 days. Then they finally realized people make complaints, all this extra stuff, that they finally made it for free. Like, you get these sessions, you get them free. And I was like, okay, cool. It's part of the program. So it took me a while to really get into it. I mean, my thing, that if it wasn't for you or anyone else, that my brothers, that I wouldn't actually got help in counseling, because this was so much stress. And being a minority, and technically just in general, actually just a male, you want to be prideful. You don't have no illnesses, you have no sickness. It's just, weakness. But in reality, if it wasn't for me getting to that point of like breaking down, and to the point of like I need help, and struggling in the middle of a gas station, losing it, then I wouldn't be getting the help that I deserved or that needed. So if it wasn't for that student, that cohort member committed suicide, I would never got the help I needed. Sadly to say, that sucks, but if it wasn't for that, they would never ever give us that mental health support.
Mm-hmm. So far, it seems like they provided resources for you educationally when they saw that you were a little behind. And because of an incident, they then decided to provide some mental health resources. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, you still decided to leave the program.
Yeah, because throughout the time of going to counseling, going to this therapist, that I finally realized, going through my own relationship battles, I finally realized my own things and why I was doing things. And the reason I was doing things was because of to please others. It was never to please me, or why I was doing this just for me. So I decided, like, I don't really want to do this. It's just stressful. Why am I stressing for this for no reason? Like, I don't want to be in education. I don't want to be in this life. Like, I like it. I enjoy it, but it's not something I want to do. I don't want to be a superintendent. I don't want to be a principal. I don't want to, I don't want to go further into this. I just want to, I guess get a grad school to get a master's to look like, hey, I got a master's. Yay. Instead of going with the first route I was supposed to be doing, like I wanted to, and I worked hard for it in undergrad too. I should have went that route. But once again, I was doing all this grad school afterwards because I was trying to fill the void of me missing out the first opportunity that I ignored and denied. and I was trying to make it up the second time with something else that I did not want at all.
Okay, can we go back to that original route that you had planned on doing?
So the original route was to go up to, it was, I think it was Connecticut. Because first Dr. Honda graduated from UConn, so he kind of gave me a route there. But I was getting hired from a business to go to grad school. So they had 3 locations. It was Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and New York. And I was getting offered there to go, and they were going to pay full ride for my grad school to actually learn. Because, I got a good recommendation from Dr. Honda, so he helped me out. But the reason I never chose it was because of, I guess, once again, pleasing others. Not for pleasing myself, not for doing else. I denied it because I was moving way too far from my mom. My relationship at that point was not going that well. I was trying to please everyone at that one time. Was trying to work everything else and please everyone at the same time. So I was dealing with a lot of people pleasing instead of dealing with myself and working and doing stuff that I wanted to do in the beginning.
Hmm. So do you have any intentions on pursuing that plan again?
Yeah, not at this moment. At this moment, I'm not. My plan for the next, I guess, few years is not going to grad school, but I do plan on going back to grad school. That's still every day. I'd be like, I have my books every day, and I'd be like, man, I really want to. I look at them and I'm like, I want to go back. Like I have that urge to go back, but also at this time, I have a lot of debt because of the first go around of grad school. Because they say they were paying for my program, but they didn't. They didn't pay for anything. They had to get student loans. So I went from 60,000 to 100,000 debt, because undergrad was debt. Then I had grad school debt. So it was a lot of debt added on debt.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go again and go put more debt. So at this moment, I'm trying to figure things out and figure things out myself, and also working on myself mentally, spiritually, and emotionally before I head into grad school again. Because this time, if I go to it, I don't care how stressful it is, how hard it is. I'm not gonna back out, because I'm choosing grad school because I want to go to grad school and choosing a study that I want to study, not because to please others.
Mm-hmm. So how are you working on your emotional and mental and health state now?
I read books. Ironically, I read books. I first started with the book called The Power of Now. And that's before then I was just trying to learn how to meditate and stuff, and working out, and doing stuff. Listen to a lot of motivational speaking. That's how I was doing it before. Trying to use other resources and other outlets to help me instead of me personally delving in. Then recently, last year, I finally realized that now is going to help, because technically I was still mentally breaking myself, still having mental breaks into my life, like randomly got random irritations, issues, unsolvable problems. So I started really reading, and that's the first book I read fully. It was The Power of Now. Mm-hmm. And when I read that book, I was also practicing the meditation of it, and slowly but surely I'll meditate for like 10, 15 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much for participating in Tea Time with Letitia.
Anytime.
Tea Time with Letitia is a segment of Gratified Grad where we discuss topics affecting graduate students. For more information on how you can graduate with gratification, click the link which can be found in the description box. Thanks for listening.